Will the Senate please come to order? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Ocasio,
Present.
Senator Baker,
Here.
Senator Chang,
Here.
Senator DeCoit, Senator Dela Cruz, Senator Favela,
Here.
Senator Gabbard,
Here.
Senator Ihara,
Present.
Senator Inoue,
Present.
Senator Kanuha,
Here.
Senator Keith Agaran, Senator Keoho Kalole, Senator Kidani,
Aloha.
Senator Kim, Senator Lee, Senator Misalucha,
Present.
Senator Moriwaki,
Present.
Senator Nishihara, Senator Rhodes, Senator Riviere, Senator San Buenaventura, Senator Shimabukuro, Senator Taniguchi,
Here.
Senator Wakai. Mr. President,
Present.
all 25 members are present.
Thank you. The chair has read the journal of the preceding day and approves the same. Are there any introductions this morning? Senator Shimabukuro.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm happy to introduce, I see our Hawaiian Homes Commissioner Patty Kahanamoku Taruya in the audience, and Director John Dudua of Makana Okekua. And I think they have other members of their posse. Stand and recognize. Thank you so much.
Senator Baker, then Senator Misalucha.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I'd like to once again introduce my staff for the session. They've been amazing and have made this session very pleasurable from the amount of work that we've been able to do. From UH, my intern, Nicole, and if you'd stand as I call your name, Nicole Deloach, Assistant Committee Clerk, Jessica Imdy, my legislative aides, David Kim and Sabrina Lynch, my office manager, Alicia Lysick, and my committee clerk, Allison Manding. Thank you all for your hard work. Mahalo.
Thank you. Senator Misalucha, then Senator Gabbard.
Thank you, Mr. Senate President. A year ago, a group of Filipino-American students launched an aspirational project to introduce the idea of offering Philippine history as an elective in Hawaii's public schools. They felt that this was important to have this elective to build a sense of belonging and a strong, positive self-identity. This resolution was passed by the Senate Education Committee thanks to Senator Michelle Kidani and Vice Chair Donna Mercado Kim. We have the core group here today, both the students and their advisors, and we acknowledge their presence as well as their outstanding work. So please stand. We have Raymart Bilote, graduate, Waipahu High School, and he's now a student at University of Hawaii West Oahu. Jalen Espejo, student, Farrington High School. Alisa Espinoza, student, Roosevelt High School. Marissa Halagao, student, Punahou School. Marian Ramo, student, Waipahu High School. Landy Rosuelo, student, Kamehameha Schools. And Lauren Watarida, student, Kapolei High School. And joining us virtually is Caitlin Agnes, graduate, Kapolei High School, who's now a student at Temple University. We also have the advisors, Dr. Amy Agbayani from the University of Hawaii, Emeritus Assistant Vice Chancellor to Student Equity, Excellence, and Diversity. Leon Florendo, President, Sariling-Gawa Youth Council, Counselor, Leeward Community College, Waianae Moku. Dr. Patricia Halagao, University of Hawaii Manoa, Chair, Department of Curriculum Studies. Norman Salas, Teacher and Strategic Planner, Farrington High School. And last but not least, Felipe Fernandez Brennan, Teacher, Roosevelt High School. Welcome to the Senate.
Further introduction, Senator Gabbard.
Mr. President, colleagues, staff, and guests, it gives me great pleasure to introduce my hardworking staff for this session who have done a great job in serving my constituents and others statewide. Please stand when I say your name. My office manager, Corinne Gallardo, community liaison and legislative aide, Meg Turner, and my session staff, AEN committee clerk, Sky Jeezy, legislative aide, Brian Davidson, and UH intern, Moani Kumar. Mahalo nui loa.
Thank you. Further introduction, Senator Nishihara.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce members of my family, my wife Lynn, up in the left side of the gallery, daughters Julie and Joy, two of my 4 grandchildren, Haley and Zachary. Thank you for joining us.
Further introduction, Senator Taniguchi, then Senator Favela.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a number of guests in the gallery this morning. I have my wife, Jan, taking pictures, or Jan, my daughter, Carly, and her husband, Aaron Strom, my son, Danny, and his wife, Lisa, my grandson, Royson Strom. I have my staff, Pony Danes, Craig, Paul, Hector, and Seta. I have former staff members, Terrence Altani. I can't see anybody else. Of course, Jen Chao is my former staff person too, our assistant clerk. And I also have one of my constituents who continues to harass me about all kinds of stuff, the current tax director, Isaac Choi. I think I got just about everybody. Thank you.
Before going on to further introductions, to your grandson in the gallery, Senator Taniguchi, I want to make him aware that Senator Gabbard has put a piece of toffee on everybody's desk, and I think your grandson would be a more appropriate recipient of the toffee instead of you. So we're gonna check if it actually got to him after we gavel out today. Any further introductions? Senator Favela.
Thank you, Senate President. First of all, I want to introduce my daughter on her field trip from Campbell High School today, Abigail Fivella, representing her mom, Donna Lee Fivella, my dad, David, and my father-in-law, Hank. And of course, since we have the other ones was introduced, I got Kaimana, Fred, and can you stand up, please? Stand up if you can. And then we got Pastor Sai Tangovailoa Amosa. And then we have our own Ever Beach, another Ever Beach own NFL new Raiders, Myron Tangovailoa Amosa. Give him a hand. Thank you, Senate President.
Thank you. Any further introductions? If not, Senator San Buenaventura.
I would be remiss to not introduce our sometimes people we advocate against, and that would be Kat Brady for Community Action for Business, as well as Henry Curtis. Thank you. Welcome.
Mr. President.
Senator Taniguchi, then Senator Inoue.
Just a short one, Mr. President. Thank you. I also have my staff person, Tom Heinrich, up there too. Tom.
Senator Inoue.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning. We are pleased to have from Hawaii Island 2 council persons here. We have Sue Liloy from the district of Hilo, and of course, our dear friend from the district of Waimea and Kohala. Let's see, Tim Richards. Welcome, and thank you for being with us.
Senator Shimabukuro.
Sorry, Mr. President, I spotted them when they came in late. I see a group from Kalaupapa. Could you all please stand? They've been fighting hard to get $5 million, I believe it's in the budget, and for a memorial at Kalaupapa. So could you all stand? I see you're holding some pictures and show us what you're holding. Stand, and among them is Wally Inglis, the second from the left, who is my former staff. Thank you so much for all of your hard work and what you've done.
Any further introductions? If not, Madam Clerk.
On pages 1 to 14, departmental communication numbers 280 to 359 and 361 to 397 transmit reports.
File.
On pages 14 to 17, House Communication numbers 820 to 823 inform the Senate that the House agreed to the amendments made by the Senate to various House bills and that said bills passed final reading in the House. And on pages 17 to 45, House Communication number 824 informs the Senate that the House passed various bills on final reading.
File.
On pages 45 and 46, Judiciary Communication numbers 25 to 32 transmit reports.
File.
Advise and consent.
If there are no objections from the members, we will be taking advise and consent on consent.
On pages 47 to 52, Standing Committee Report numbers 4083 to 4097 on Governor's messages for adoption.
Is there any discussion? If not, do we have unanimous consent?
25 ayes.
Thank you. The nominees for said governor's messages have been confirmed. For any of the committee chairs, do you have any of your conferees here, or not conferees, but nominees here? Senator Kim?
Mr. President, are we doing GMs 806 and 807 in this?
These were all of them.
All of them. Okay, so I rise, Mr. President, I'm sorry, I rise in support of GM 806 and 807. And then I will make the introductions if I may.
Well, we did take the vote, so if you want to say something as you're introducing them, then you can certainly blend the
Okay,
introduction.
I'm sorry, you went too quickly on that. In the audience today, Mr. President, we do have that we just nominated our two Board of Regents nominees for the Board of Regents, and I would like to start by introducing, first one is Dr. Lori Tokichi, is an alumni of Waipahu High School and Whitman College. She holds 2 graduate degrees from the University of Hawaii, a Juris Doctor from Richardson School of Law and Doctorate of Philosophy from the College of Education. She is very familiar with the issues and concerns facing this institution, having served on the law school faculty in many capacities over the years, including assistant and adjunct professor, lecturer, associate dean for the student services, and director of child welfare projects. She's also lent her legal experience to the judiciary as a law clerk and research analyst and family court volunteer coordinator. Dr. Tuchiki has been the president and CEO of EPIC Ohana for the past decade. EPIC is an acronym for Effective Planning and Innovative Communication, and the company provides management, leadership, and direction for more than 40 entities serving Native Hawaiian children. She oversees a multi-million-dollar annual budget and nearly 100 full or part-time employees statewide. Her experience as an administrator, her educational background at the university, and her work as a member of the faculty of the law school gives her a breadth and depth of knowledge that will hold her in good stead as a regent. We're confident that she can contribute the ideas and know-how to strengthening the university governance and accountability while continuing to better the lives of those it serves. Mr. President and visitors, I'd like to introduce Lori Tochiki, our newest member of the Board of Regents. Thank you. And Mr. President, joining her is Gabriel Lee. He will bring to his public responsibilities a distinguished career in the financial services industries. He's an executive vice president of commercial markets for American Savings Bank. Prior to that, he was a vice president at First Hawaiian Bank and Bank of Hawaii. Mr. Lee is an alumnus of I wanted to say Farrington, but I'm sorry, it's St. Louis High School and the University of Hawaii, with graduate education from Dartmouth College. You'll be pleased to know that the university is a family affair for the Lees. He and his wife Shirley are both alumni of the school, and his daughter is a recent graduate of the law school. He's active in the community through his service with the Boy Scouts of America, Aloha Council, Diamond Head Theater, as well as leadership positions with many prominent civic and philanthropic organizations in our community. We believe his background in finance, his strong leadership experience, his extensive record of governance and oversight in the nonprofit sector will bring a fresh perspective with a welcome source of expertise to the affairs of the university. Mr. Lee is praiseworthy nominee for the Board of Regents, and on behalf of our higher education, we congratulate Mr. Gabe Lee. President Gabe Lee, another Board of Regents nominee. Mr. President, if I may introduce my office manager, Lisa Vargas, who's been with me for many years, somewhere up there. Lisa? Okay, she might have gone back up. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Do we have any other late introductions? Senator Kidani?
Mahalo, Mr. President. We also had some very great candidates for our Board of Education. I so look forward to working with them. But in the audience, we have Nicole Makana McClellan, joined by her husband, Kekoa. Please stand. Thank you for your willingness to serve. I think we also may have in the audience Lauren Moriarty. Lauren? These are some great candidates, Mr. President, and I'm so happy that I will be working with them. And I think we also have Ken Kuroya. Is Ken here? Newly retired from the Department of Education. So thank you all so much. Look forward to working with you. Aloha.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other late introductions? Senator Nishihara?
Yes, I'd like to introduce my staff, probably for the final time. We have Priscilla Kubota and Alec Ikeda, and also Cody Rex. Would they please stand? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other late introductions? If not, Madam Clerk.
Final adoption of resolutions, beginning with Senate Concurrent Resolution number 61, House Draft 1 on page 52, to Senate Concurrent Resolution number 205, House Draft 1 on page 57.
Senator Decoit.
I move for the adoption of said Senate concurrent resolutions.
Senator Favela.
I second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Any objections? If not, the motion is carried. Said resolutions have been adopted.
On pages 57 and 58, adoption of resolutions, Standing Committee Report numbers 4098 to 4103 on House concurrent resolutions for adoption.
Senator Decoit.
I move for the adoption of Standing Committee Reports numbers 4098 to 4103.
Senator Favela.
I second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Any objections? If not, the motion is carried. Said resolutions have been adopted.
Beginning on page 58, final reading.
For our guests in the gallery, when we amended some of the bills on Tuesday, by law, we were required to have the bill sit for 48 hours. The last amendment was completed at 10:45, so we may start voting on a few of the bills. I'm going to call for a short recess, so if the members need to use the facilities or take a quick selfie with some of their departing members, you can do so. If you'd like to stretch your legs a little in the gallery, and we'll reconvene at 10:45. Short recess. Will the Senate please come back into order? Before going to final reading, we have a late introduction from Senator Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Here with us today is the Student Association of, the Student Association of Kawananakoa Middle School, the student government there. These young people aspire to be future leaders of our great state. They are here to learn about civics and see our government in action. That's not government in action, that's government in action. I will read off the names. You've already stood. Thank you very much. Raise your hand when I call your name. Caden Camacho, Hudson Fuketa, Caleb Nguyen, Charlotte Gian, Karina Kim, Samson Kwong, Anuheo Leong Wilkinson, Amy Liu, Ethan Mitchell, Kiera Pulsifer, Misha Salvatera, Sadie Soet, Marley Sekamoto, Haley Sombathibom, Maya Suganuma, Aiden Tran, Michael Vasconcelos, Zachary M. Yee, and their advisor, Corey Izimoto. And I request that their names be entered into the journal. Mahalo.
So ordered. So ordered, Senator Rhodes. And before going on to, and I said third reading, perhaps, before going to final reading, since it was mentioned and will be part of the journal forever, I'd be remiss if I did not say that it was reported to me of visual confirmation that the toffee was delivered by Senator Taniguchi to his grandson. So mission accomplished during the recess. Madam Clerk?
Beginning on page 58, final reading.
If there are no objections from the members, we will be taking final reading on consent.
Conference Committee Report number 253-22, final reading of House Bill 1147, Conference Draft 1, relating to the state budget.
Is there any discussion? Senator Favela.
Thank you, Senate President. I rise in support on Conference Committee Report number 25322, House Bill 1147 SD1, CD1.
Please proceed.
Colleagues, we have repeatedly said the visitor industry is important for a sector in coming to Hawaii economy. The fact is provided a significant share of the state tax revenue to provide employment and opportunity and Kama'aina families. There are also challenges associated with this industry. There's community concerns about the need to protect our cultural and our native resources. Hawaii Tourism Authority is responsible for changing the course of making and focus to our destination management and visitor education. Appropriation will help HTA will be the ability to show and progress on the implementation of the Destination Management Action Plan. Thank you, Senate President.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Not, do we have unanimous consent?
25 ayes.
Thank you. HB 1147 CD1 passes final reading.
On page 59, Conference Committee Report number 254-22, final reading of House Bill 2466, Conference Draft 1, relating to Taro.
Is there any discussion? If not, do we have unanimous? Senator Favela.
I don't have my glasses, but I apologize. Senate President, I rise in strong support of Conference Committee Report number 25422, House Bill 2466 HD2 SD1 CD1.
Please proceed.
Colleagues, when coming to our Taro and just the process and just to have that in our state, so I support this measure because it will bring the taro farmers to increase the productivity on unprocessed taro by exempting the taro farmers from paying tax on their income. This tax exemption is a statement that we as legislators support native tradition, food cultivation, that we support farmers, and that we support the society of the Hawaiian people, the security of Hawaii people. This bill will create an economic innovation with taro farmers and build an up-farming capacity of competing with imports, and reducing the cost of our local farmers. These things that we have here coming before us, Senate President and colleagues, this is something that I really ask if we can all show our support for our taro farmers. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, do we have unanimous consent?
25 ayes.
Thank you. HB 2466 CD1 passes final reading.
Conference Committee Report number 255-22, final reading of House Bill 2511, Conference Draft 1, relating to the Department of Hawaiian Homelands.
Is there any discussion? Senator Shimabukuro.
In support.
Please proceed.
As the Waianae Coast legislator representing the region with the highest concentration of Native Hawaiians in the world outside of Ni'ihau, we have always felt like the forgotten people. Well, proof that the state has not forgotten the Hawaiians. The $600 million in HB 2511 is the largest one-time infusion of state money to DHHL in history. Mahalo for showing our host culture that there is no Hawaii without them. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion, Senator Favela?
Senate President, I rise in strong support.
Please proceed.
I am in strong support of this bill, Senate President. This is something that we always said here, we're putting our money where our mouth is. When we talk about putting Hawaii first, Hawaiian products, Hawaiian issues, like I said, every day we wake up is a Hawaiian issue. Going forward, now we can have the Hawaiians who have and the Hawaiians who have not, kind of equaling out the basis of what we have now in Hawaii. This is a very important legislation that we did. I am so proud to be part of this body, and being part of this, just being here, Senate President. And I just thank you all colleagues to continue to support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion, Senator Keith Agaran?
Yeah, Mr. President, I have some written remarks in support that I would ask for leave to insert into the journal.
So ordered. Further discussion? If not, do we have, Senator Kanuha?
In support.
Please proceed.
I also have written remarks that I'd like to have inserted into the journal.
So ordered. Senator DeCoit.
Thank you, Mr. President. Strong support, permission to insert written comments to the journal.
So ordered. Thank you. Senator Lee.
Thank you. I'd also like to insert written comments in support.
So ordered.
Thank you.
Senator San Buenaventura.
Written comments in support.
So ordered. If not, do we have unanimous consent?
25 ayes.
Thank you. HB 2511 CD1 passes final reading.
Final reading of
Mr.
House...
President,
Senator Keoho Kalole.
excuse me, may I be permitted 2 late introductions?
Please proceed.
I held off because I'm pretty sure they came today just to make extra sure that this would actually pass. But seated in the gallery are the president of is the president of the Association of Hawaiian Civic Clubs, Hailama Fardin. Please stand. And also the deputy director of the Department of Hawaiian Homelands, someone who the Lahui owes a great debt of gratitude to for all of his work and effort, and above all, trying. Thank you very much for your work. Welcome to the Senate.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Final reading of House Bill 2512, Conference Draft 2, relating to Ohana zones.
Is there any discussion? Senator San Buenaventura.
Thank you. I stand in strong support.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of HB 2512 Ohana zones. Mr. President, we passed the first Ohana zones bill in 2018, a year infamous for the number of federal disasters that befell the state. On the last day of the 2018 session, May 3, 2018, we passed a $100 million disaster relief bill to help Kauai, your island. And that afternoon, the first fissure opened up in Leilani Estates, my district. The start of a lava disaster that ended with 800 homes destroyed and thousands evacuated. In June that year, I begged the governor to sign the Ohana Zones bill, which would release $30 million to create temporary homes which could be used for all those evacuated on our islands. He refused. It took the administration a year to realize the benefits of the Ohana Zones program. The temporary shelters would wrap around services that refer the homeless to benefits and bridge homes that is available to them. By 2019, the increased services reduced the homeless population by 15%. And when the COVID-19 pandemic hit us in 2020, Ohana Zones monies were available to create micro shelters and pay for hotel rooms to reduce the congregate settings as a result. As a result, we had no case of COVID-19 infection in the homeless population that was housed in Ohana Zone settings. Mr. President, we started this session stating the Senate's commitment to end homelessness. Ohana Zone's funding is a start, but to truly end homelessness, we need to increase mental health treatment and provide housing affordable for those who work as clerks, cashiers, waiters, security guards. And it was heartbreaking when my committee went on a site visit to the Honus at Waianae and Keahi Lagoon in the interim, and we saw residents who had work dressing up to go to work, but they could not afford the rentals on Oahu. So I'm thankful not only for the passage of this bill, But for the $23 million in housing subsidies for the TANF families, the additional $500,000 in rental assistance, these shallow subsidies prevent families on the edge from being homeless. And also the $41.5 million to DHHL to develop rental housing because Native Hawaiians are disproportionately shown among our homeless population. These monies, of course, are in addition to the millions in Housing First and in rental housing revolving fund that we provided. It would take more than money to end homelessness, but creating temporary housing is a first step. And I'm thankful to this body and the Ways and Means Chair and the Ways and Means Committee for making this first step possible. Thank you.
Thank you. I just have addition to your remarks on that last day of session. We also had appropriated $18 or $23 million for East Oahu, which had suffered significantly from the flooding as well. So we don't want to leave the Housing Committee Chair's district out of the remarks, as they needed the help and they got the help from the legislature. Further discussion, Senator Favela.
Thank you, Senate President. I rise in support of Conference Committee report. House Bill 2512 HD2 ST2 CD2. Colleagues, I support an extension of the Ohana Zone project because it addresses the need for housing or houseless individuals. The governor's emergency proclamation of houseless waivers, the number of statutory provisions and examples of HR Chapter 10D, our procurement code, and HRS Chapter 104, wage and hour of our employees of public works projects. I know the waivers of certain waivers or requirements that is result in significant savings in time, expenses, and affordable for projects for housing. But we must not still recognize that there are certain requirements that should not be exempt. This is why I am pleased that the version of the bill before us has deleted from the list the exemptions of Chapter 104. Why should we do these projects at the expense of our working people and expecting prevailing wage from the project? And even though the exemptions related to procurement code remains in the bill, I look forward to an opportunity in supporting this bill going forward. Thank you, Senate President.
Thank you. Any further discussion, Senator Inouye?
Thank you. In support.
Please proceed.
Yes, may I have the remarks of the Senator of District 2 be entered into the journal as if it was mine? Thank you.
So ordered. Further discussion? If not, do we have unanimous consent?
25 ayes.
Thank you. HB 2512 CD2 passes final reading.
Final reading of House Bill 1800, Conference Draft 2, relating to climate mitigation.
Is there any discussion? If not, do we have unanimous consent?
25 ayes.
Thank you. HB 1800 CD2 passes final reading.
Final reading of House Bill 2424, Conference Draft 2, relating to child welfare services.
Is there any discussion? Senator San Buenaventura.
Thank you. I rise in support of HB 20. Thank you. I rise in support of HB 2424. A student emailed me asking what we were doing to stop child abuse. So it made me reflect on the substantive bills and budget we passed this year. This year was not only a banner year for Native Hawaiians and housing, but we also did a lot to support families and prevent child abuse. The media focused on HB 2424 as a legislator's silver bullet, and in many ways it is. This bill does not attack the wrongdoers. The penal code, law enforcement will do that. With an unprecedented infusion of $8 million in addition to the refunding of vacant positions in the budget, this bill supports embattled social workers whose difficult duties require them to ensure that the children under their care remain safe. DHS has had a difficult time retaining these social workers and filling the 20% vacancy. To retain good social workers, HB 2424 increases their salary with pay differential subject to collective bargaining and further allows DHS to provide incentives like scholarships to attract new social workers and investigators to fill the long-term vacant positions. HB 2424 also supports good resource caregivers or foster parents. Therapeutic foster homes are few and far between because those resource caregivers care for the most traumatized, emotionally damaged children. This bill provides for incentives to recruit, vet, train, and provide continuous support to resource caregivers so that these children need not be shuttled from home to home, nor have their siblings separated from them. Removing children from their homes should be the last resort, as it further traumatizes them. To support good parents, but whose addictions or circumstances, like working multiple jobs, may lead them to neglect their children, we increase support for Family First programs. A benign bill like SB 1137 we passed Monday, which increases the spouse and child abuse special fund ceiling to $5 million, actually goes a long way to getting matching federal funds to develop these Family First programs and keep a family intact, but also ensure the safety of the vulnerable from domestic violence. SB 2641, which is a penal reform bill, also allows children to remain with women on furlough or in therapeutic programs. For families who are stressed and may slip into violence, a pilot program created in SB 3111, Family Resource Center, guides them to available services and supports. To ensure that others are present to help care or keep eyes on our children, we passed an unprecedented budget allowance of $100 million for childcare and support for early childhood educators and a child wellness pilot program in SB 2857 we passed on Tuesday of over $4 million. To ensure older children can safely remove themselves from abusive situations, we passed 3235 Safe Spaces for Youth and allocated $1 million in CIP in the budget for Halakipa, Pearl Haven, youth emergency shelters, and for sex traffic victims. To ensure that what we are doing is enough to stop abuse, HB 2424 has a working group chaired by nonprofits, not DHS, who deal hands-on with those accused of abuse and abused children, and they are empowered to report and recommend. We also passed on Tuesday SCR 102 for the auditor to review DHS policies, procedures, and processes to ensure child safety. Colleagues, when people ask you what you did to stop child abuse this year, you can hold your heads up and tell them of all the bills we passed this year, and that we've also put into place watchdogs, third-party nonprofits, and the auditor to ensure that the DHS programs we funded fulfill their purposes so that children like Ariel Sellers or Peter Boy Kema will be famous for what they have achieved as healthy adults and not because of the circumstances of their death. For all the above, I would like to thank again House Finance Chair and Senate Ways and Means and what the supporters have done to make all of this possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Not, do we have unanimous consent?
25 ayes.
Thank you. HB 2424 CD2 passes final reading.
Final reading of Senate Bill 2218, Conference Draft 2, relating to a food hub pilot program.
Is there any discussion? Not, do we have unanimous consent?
25 ayes.
Thank you. SB 2218 CD2 passes final reading.
On page 60, final reading of Senate Bill 3072, House Draft 1, relating to the Hawaii Employer Union Health Benefits Trust Fund investments.
Is there any discussion? Do we have unanimous consent?
25 ayes.
Thank you. SB 3072 HD1 passes final reading.
Final reading of Senate Bill 3338, House Draft 1, relating to the Kalaupapa Memorial.
Is there any discussion? Senator Dicoy.
Thank you, Mr. President. As most of you know, Senate Bill 3338, Senate Draft 2, House Draft 1, the Kalaupapa Memorial Funding Bill we gave approval for, or will give approval for today, was proposed by Ohana o Kalaupapa. Ohana is a nonprofit Native Hawaiian organization that has been authorized by Congress to establish the Kalaupapa Memorial. They have been working diligently for nearly 20 years to see this memorial come to life. I think all of us at the legislature know how hard they have worked to get this bill passed. The representatives of Ohana attending today are in the gallery and holding up photographs of their descendants or other past Ohana leaders who have passed away. We have Charmaine Woodward, president of the Ohana and the great-granddaughter of Kalaupapa David Kamahana, who had a successful business at Kalaupapa. And his wife Alana Alo, Charmaine's son, Nainoa, is here today as well, if you would please rise. Also attending with Charmaine are her parents Margaret Wong and David Wong, the grandson of David Kamakana and Alana Alo. Valerie Monson, a founding member of Ka'ohana, who is serving as the executive director. Kehaulani Lam, a member of the Ohana Board and Memorial Committee. She is the great-great-niece of Kalaupapa artist and musician Henry Nalelua. Wally Inglis, a founding member of Kauhana and CL leaders of close friends of Bernard Kai'a, whose idea led to the organization of Kauhana o Kalaupapa. Hitoshi Hida, retired architect of G70 International, who imagined the design of Kalaupapa Memorial and the meaning behind the interlocking circles. And DeGray Vanderbilt, a founding member of Kauhana and a member of Memorial Committee who serves as the legislative liaison. I want to thank all of you, and I also want to thank DeGray, who's been pounding on everybody's door, even when we're like, we got it, DeGray. So I want to thank you. Also want to send out a big mahalo to Senator Taniguchi's office and Tom and everybody from his staff that has been working hard on this, as well as the chair from Senate Ways and Means, Senator Donovan Dela Cruz, and the chair of the Finance Committee, Sylvia Luke, as well as my colleagues on both sides of the chambers to support this bill. So mahalo, Senate President.
Thank
Mahalo.
you.
Thank you.
Senator Baker.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had the pleasure, I rise in support, strong support of this measure. I had the pleasure when I first started in the legislature of representing Molokai and Kalaupapa, wonderful, wonderful people. And although there's tragedy in their history with people populating the island after being thrown off of ships, and people not understanding that the disease of leprosy could be, or Hansen's disease as it's called today, could be cured. But the folks at Kalaupapa persisted. They had a wonderful, thriving village there, a wonderful place to get liquid refreshment. And of course, they participate in our electoral process. So I'm so glad that we are finally recognizing some of that wonderful history and the people that gave their lives on that island to make sure that it could continue to live and thrive and be a vibrant part of our community. I appreciate all the folks at Kalaupapa. I'm glad I had the opportunity to represent you. And of course, you're in great hands with Senator Chicoit. Mahalo.
Thank you. Further discussion, Senator Taniguchi.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd just like to include comments in the journal, strong support.
So ordered. Any further discussion? If not, do we have unanimous consent?
25 ayes.
Thank you. SB 3338 HD1 passes final reading.
Final reading of Senate Bill 2782, House Draft 1, relating to public employment cost items.
Is there any discussion? Do we have unanimous consent?
25 ayes.
Thank you. SB 2782 HD1 passes final reading.
Final reading of Senate Bill 2790, House Draft 1, relating to public employment cost items.
Is there any discussion? Not, do we have unanimous consent?
25 ayes.
Thank you. SB 2790 HD1 passes final reading.
Final reading of Senate Bill 3048, Conference Draft 2, relating to state funds.
Members, before getting to discussion and the vote, this Senate Bill 3048 and Senate Bill 514 are going to put us over the spending ceiling. Therefore, by the Constitution, we identify with language what we're doing by approving these bills, and it will require a 2/3 majority on each of these last two votes for the bill to be approved. Do we have any discussion? If not, do we have unanimous consent?
25 ayes.
Thank you. SB 3048, CD2 passes final reading.
Final reading of Senate Bill 514, Conference Draft 2, relating to the general fund.
Is there any discussion? Not, do we have unanimous consent?
25 ayes.
Thank you. SB 514, CD2 passes final reading.
Members, we're moving to the supplemental order of the day. Miscellaneous business, usual and customary resolutions, Senate Resolution numbers 220 to 222 for adoption.
Senator Decoit.
I move for the adoption of Senate Resolutions numbers 220 to 222.
Senator Favela.
I second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Any objections? If not, the motion is carried. Said resolutions have been adopted.
No further business, Mr. President.
Members, what we will do next with the announced retirements of 3 of our members is offer the minority leader an opportunity. If he has closing comments, I will have closing comments, and then we'll recognize our 3 retiring senators. We're going to go on the recognition by junior years of service to senior years of service. So when we get to that portion, we'll be recognizing Senator Nishihara first, Senator Baker second. We'll do Senator Taniguchi last because he has the largest crowd and we'd like to keep the gallery full until we get to the end. Senator Favela, do you have remarks you'd like to offer on personal privilege?
Thank you, Senate President. Wait, no personal privilege. Thank you, Senate President. For Senate President, I have 4 bills on a non-fiscal consent, fiscal consent and fiscal consent calendar, and 1 bill on non-fiscal ordinary calendar on Tuesday, May 3rd, that I wish to enter in the comments in the journal.
So ordered.
Senate Bill 2819 ST2 HD2 CD1, Senate Bill 2821 ST2 HD1 CD1, Senate Bill 3054 ST1 HD1 CD1, House Bill 1982 HD2 ST2 CD1, House Bill 2075 HD1 ST1 CD1. Thank you, Senate President.
Thank you. In closing, I'd like to say that the majority leader will be working with the communications team and the Senate Vice President on the press release giving us a score as it relates to the majority priorities, or the Senate priorities, I'm sorry, Senator Favela, as you agreed with the priorities as they were laid out. So we're going to have that issued. So I want to be clear that the remarks I'm about to give simply relate to me getting a copy of what I said on opening day personally. And so I'm going to give myself my own report card. So as you might imagine, I'm going to get a pretty good grade because I'm in charge. And what I'd like to begin by saying is, to all of the members, myself included, we all deserve a big pat on the back. On the first 4 bills today, I thought we were running the Senator Favela show as he got up in strong support of each of those items, but it goes to the bipartisan way that we have worked and to ensure that everyone's voice matters, everyone's voice counts as we do our work here in the Senate. And as we look at what is happening nationally and the divisiveness of the national politics in Washington, D.C., and we see the unrest and the war in the Ukraine with the Russians, it is refreshing, to be a role model to at least the citizens here in Hawaii about how we can work together and through cooperation what we can achieve. I'm proud today to have in the gallery my eldest son, Dan. He returned to Hawaii in 2019 and promptly made the front page of the Star Advertiser by taking a job with the Hawaii Chamber of Commerce. And I was supposed to have killed the minimum wage bill for him. I am glad to report that we have succeeded in getting one passed. He got married last month, or in the end of March, to a young lady from Maui who is now doing great work for the Department of Health and has been featured in many of the Red Hill comments from the Department of Health as we try to make sure that the drinking water is safe for the residents here on Oahu. Next to my wife Joy on the other side is my younger son Egan, who works quietly in the background on Kauai, but he is married to a middle school teacher, and she is the middle school teacher who runs the Ma'i Movement pilot project on Kauai, and the young woman who really educated me on the importance of the issue and why we need to do it. And then certainly my wife Joy in the middle of our two sons, who has been so supportive of me being here and allowing me to do this work. So I had to add all of that in, Joy, because Senator San Buenaventura, you wiped out half of my speech. And I'm so glad that you did, because I talked about homelessness. And I talked about how Ohana zones will be a tool because of the flexibility in each county, responding in an appropriate way for their county and not a cookie cutter one-size-fits-all solutions, and how we had to work on mental health services. And you've done a great job in articulating the work that we succeeded in doing here this past session. And I talked about affordable housing, and with the $1 billion commitment to affordable housing, the legislature has made a strong statement about trying to get more and more affordable units for our residents here. I talked about farm to school, and in the budget we just passed was $6 million to acquire an existing facility on the Mana Plain that is on leased land by the ADC. They are creating a partnership with Waimea High School where they will be able to, on this 10-acre site, have a lo'i with Taro and show cultural and traditional ways in which the Hawaiian community farm, and they also have robotic equipment in the facility so that we will be in the 21st century with robotic agricultural farming. And they have partnered with Kamehameha Schools Bishop Estate, and so they are looking at creating a model of how we work with the nonprofit and with all of the farming entities that are on the Mana Plain to enhance our farm to school program, to enhance our food security, and ultimately we will probably be coming forward for an appropriation to create a processing facility where we'll take all of the food that's being grown on the Mana Plain and West Kauai and run it through the processing facility so that the students at Waimea High School will have an opportunity to learn about those jobs. And in that processing, you take the waste and you put it into a biodigester and create either food or feed for livestock or fertilizer, and you create energy to help pay the cost of operating the facility. A truly sustainable effort and community-based, and I'm excited about what is going to happen on the Mana Plain. We talked about broadband and taking our students into or allowing them to compete with anybody in the world, and with the $109 million we have committed to broadband infrastructure projects statewide, This is going to be amazing. And I did say I had supreme confidence in the education chair as to the commitment we have for education. One of the things that she's worked tirelessly on and partnered with the housing committee chair, the Ways and Means chair, is to try and get more affordably priced units for teachers. And one of the biggest stumbling blocks we have in retaining teachers is having that ability for them to find housing that they can afford. And she has worked hard to make sure that there is money in there to pilot projects and develop projects that we are going to be able to offer to teachers. And more importantly, obviously, is just to get them paid a fair salary. And she has done great work in trying to make sure that we have compensated teachers in a way that express how much we value them, how important they are, and we hope that they will have a long career in the Department of Education. We talked about I talked about the minimum wage, and I'm glad to see Senator Taniguchi on what appears to be your last session, that we were able to get it to the finish line. We're going to get to $18 by 2028. The earned income tax credit is part of the package. So that's another little over $400 a year to working families. The tax credit I never talked about because I never thought we had that much money, to Senator Dela Cruz and Representative Luke to have the program that we'll get for a family of four earning $100,000 or less. Another $1,200 is an incredible way to try and assist working families here deal with inflation. I didn't even use the word inflation in my opening day remarks because inflation wasn't even on the radar, and what was about to happen in the Ukraine. And after talking aspirationally for a little while on that opening day, I said I'd like to come down from 30,000 feet and talk about something at the ground level, which was the Ma'i movement. And there was an article on the previous Monday, 2 days before we opened, about the Ma'i movement. My daughter-in-law was quoted in the article and saying if you needed to make a choice between food or feminine hygiene products, you know, oftentimes the food is what you purchase. And so I'd like to thank the Women's Caucus, in particular Senator Kidani, the education chair, who shepherded the bill through on our side, Senator Ocasio, who's been championing this. And it has been an incredible journey for students from Ilima Intermediate School who have been trying for 3 years to get this bill passed. And for the first 2 years, we're told in the COVID conditions we were in that there was absolutely no money, and they never got a hearing on their bill. And to see the determination and never give up attitude, and for them to come back after 2 incredibly bad or horrible attempts when they couldn't get the hearing, and to get the bill to the end. They were participating in the hearings virtually when they were virtual, and then they were here in person every step of the way, including making sure we did our job last week Friday in conference committee, or they were going to let us know. And so I am just thrilled to death about what Senator Kidani was able to shepherd through with the help of Ways and Means Chair Dela Cruz on the Ma'i movement bill. To each of you members and to our staff, when I was reflecting on what to say today, I realized that we have now run 4 totally different operational sessions of the legislature. We came here in 2019 and we ran a traditional session. We got back in 2020 and all of a sudden shut everything down and ended in a written only session. We came back in 2021 and we did a virtual session with the building closed. And now this year, starting with the building closed and evolving with the building being open and running a hybrid system. It hasn't been easy. And to the committee chairs who have adapted to make sure that the public could participate to the greatest extent possible in spite of the conditions that we face. You know, I applaud you. To all of the members who found a reason why it was going to work, and not being members who were coming to work every day telling me why it can't work. I applaud you for your can-do attitude. To our staff, and especially the IT staff, and the constant changes that we were making and the preparation that they put in is incredible. And from the bottom of my heart, and I know from my 24 colleagues, we really want to thank you for all of your efforts. And when you look at the final product, to Senator De La Cruz, Senator Keith Agaran, I've never achieved every single goal I've talked about before because we run into a problem and we run out of money. I never imagined that we'd have $1 billion commitment to the Native Hawaiian community here, but you found a way to make that happen. The various programs that are helping the Alice families in our community, the commitment to pre-K, K through 12, and higher education. This is the most amazing legislative session that I've participated in, and it surpasses anything that I've ever done on the county of Kauai. So I want to thank you for allowing me to work with each and every one of you and get this result for the people of Hawaii. So give yourselves a big hand. Hope everybody has your tissue ready. Senator Misalucha.
Can we have Senator Nishihara maybe sit here in the front? Would that be possible?
Oh, we have the chairs there. Clarence, oh, excuse me, Senator
Then that
Nishihara.
way
They want to roast
we can
you,
appropriately
apparently.
honor you. It will not be, I assure you.
And then we'll allow you to go back to your chair and your microphone for your remarks.
It is said that teaching is the greatest act of optimism. Teachers have this boundless capacity to always believe in the good nature of a human being. They invest time and energy into making a difference in the lives of their students, and sometimes, even if the outcome fails expectation, they do not give up. They move on and try again. Senator Clarence Nishihara, early in his life, chose teaching as a profession. He later became a principal and gave his all to this role. In other words, the dogged optimism of a teacher fuels his spirit. And when he went on to become a public servant, as an elected state senator, he brought with him this sense of dogged optimism. Fortuitously, he landed in 2 committees where this optimism was required. As the chair of agriculture, he helped craft policies that would enable farmers and ranchers to provide food on our table. You need optimism in this industry where farmers toil the land and plant the seeds despite the possible vicissitudes of weather or pestilence. Then, as chair of corrections, Senator Nishihara brought optimism and focus on some of our citizens that society had almost forgotten. Throughout his years of service, Senator Nishihara had faced his fair share of outcomes that did not meet expectations, but he always rebounded and moved on to tackle the next big issue. People say Senator Nishihara has a heart of gold and the soul of a servant leader. He has served his district, Senate District 17, honorably and with distinction. Over the many years, he had been unselfish in sharing his wisdom and experience with the Senate and the greater community. So on this day, the day of his retirement, we do not begrudge him the future bliss, the long days of summer throughout the year, and the many travels forthcoming, some to Las Vegas, that he is bound to do with his beautiful wife Lynn by his side. Well done, O good and faithful servant. Well done, Senator Clarence Nishihara. May I request Senator Jared Kehoe-Kalole to accompany me.
I hope I was photobombing. As Senator Nishihara takes his seat, do we have anyone else who would like to offer remarks to Senator Nishihara? Otherwise, Senator Favela.
Thank you, Senate President. Well, colleagues, when I first came here, a few things that was something that I wanted to take care of, because on my side of the island, well, Ever Beach, we have a lot of people that are adult correctional officers, and the concern was public safety. I have a lot of respect for Senator Nishihara because he always had his door open, especially his ear. And if you guys know me, I kind of tend to talk a lot. Nishihara opened his door, not only with his ear and just listened and sat there, but he taught me a lot. Gave me the drive to be concerned about not only the adult correction officers, especially our inmates. I know a lot of people doesn't understand right now, and I know you guys been hearing in the press about our bill that nonviolent offenders will be released. Regardless of what they understand of this bill, I totally understand that we made, as this body, the right decision. Speaking to Senator Nishihara about the law enforcement, how important this was for a lot of people, individuals that even when I came here, I thought I could get the patrol division going with the sheriffs just like that. But it doesn't happen that way. But with his knowledge and his understanding and teaching me to mostly have patience. You guys know I don't have that. But having patience and learning from Senator Nishihara, we got these certain things passed. And we accomplished a lot of things with public safety for our inmates, and not only the inmates, but our adult correction officer. So on behalf of me and my family and my community, Senator Nishihara, we love you and thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Any other remarks? Not, I would say I've been here for 12 years. And in my first 2 years, I was a member of the Agriculture Committee that Senator Nishihara chaired. And in my second term, I was his vice chair on the Agricultural Committee. In my third term, I served 1 year under him as the chair of the Transportation Committee. So somebody apparently felt that he needed to supervise me, and I was always in one of my committee assignments with Senator Nishihara. What's significant about the time I served with him on the Agricultural Committee is the debate on genetically modified organisms was raging at its height in our communities across the state. And someone who had a difference of opinion with Senator Nishihara decided to call the office, and when she got the recorder, leave a message that slurred his Japanese ancestry. But she also left her name on the message. And a few days later, when we sat in the hearing and she came up to testify and she identified herself, Clarence kind of chuckled and goes, "Oh, you're the one." And that's all he ever said, not in anger, nothing. He was a little surprised, I guess, that she was right there, and he handled it in such a classy way and totally diffused what could have been a very, I don't want to use the word violent, but certainly confrontational situation, and all the air went out of the room, everybody relaxed, and she still disagreed with his position, but she was much more respectful and, to her credit, offered an apology for the remarks that she had made on the phone. But it's because of how Senator Nishihara handled the situation that she had a path forward to get the issue resolved that way. And so I've appreciated your friendship, Senator Nishihara, and working with you. I've appreciated the calamansi and limes that I received, and not maybe all of you get, but it's sometimes nice to be the president. So best wishes in your next phase of your life, Senator Nishihara. And this is the time when you stand up and make your remarks.
I guess my wife has been patiently waiting for me to give my remarks. Senate President and colleagues, as my time here in the Senate comes to a close, I've had time to reflect on what I would say as I exit this beautiful chamber for the last time. When I entered the legislature after my retirement from the Department of Education, I could not have imagined that I would still be here in this chambers 18 years later. Well, it seems like now is a good time to say goodbye. Seated up in the gallery this morning are my wife, Lynn, daughters Joy and Julie, and my grandchildren, Zachary and Haley, who I previously introduced. They've had to bear with me over the last 18 years as I went about my duties as a senator representing Waipahu, Pearl City, Palisades, and Crestview Seaview. Without the strong support and steadfast efforts of my loving wife and family, I probably would not have lasted this long in office. Constituents are, of course, very important, but not as important as your family. I also owe so much gratitude and thanks to my faithful office manager and friend over the past 18 years, Ms. Priscilla Kubota, who came out of retirement to work for me and has stayed with me through all my years in office. Thank you, Priscilla. With the upcoming elections, I can tell you that I will not miss the campaigning, fundraising, sign waving, and all that comes with getting elected. To those running for re-election, I wish you all the best of luck and hopefully the good fortune of winning your re-election. To my fellow senators, colleagues, and friends, as well as the many staff from the clerk's office, Sergeant at Arms, LRB, majority research offices, as well as the IT. I will miss your friendship and thank you for making my job easier. I connected with all of you in whatever capacity you served in your offices. You all did your jobs efficiently to help me and the rest of us. And in doing so, help the public in general receive the services that good government needs to provide and is expected to provide. As I bid you all a fond aloha, I wish to express what an honor and privilege it has been to serve my community and the people of Hawaii for the past 18 years. And I hope that I was able to make a positive difference in the lives of those around me. It's been such a nice journey, filled with great moments and great friendships made along the way. I hope that people will look back and see me as one who always treated everyone fairly with respect and kindness, one who always listened, was not afraid to make hard decisions based on what I felt was right, and who always served with integrity and stayed true to character. Thank you all for everything you do and will continue to do for our people of this great state of Hawaii. It is only through our love and support for one another that our Senate will remain as a strong institution that it is. Thank you and mahalo.
Thank you, Senator Nishihara. For Senator Baker, I forgot to check on, is there an order from the Maui delegation? Senator Keith Agaran, are you first, or Senator Decoy? Senator Keith Agaran.
I'm happy to go first. You know, it's strange to get up here. I didn't really prepare anything that I want to read, because it's all year long, as Roz kept talking about me be leaving, I never really believed her. And it's because I've always seen Representative Baker, Senator Baker, in public service since I returned home to Maui. She's always been one of those constants that you see. And the thing about Senator Baker, Mr. President, is that at one time, she has served every single community in our county. She was a senator in every district over all the different redistrictings that occurred during her time. And whichever community she served, she always put her heart into it. And you can see that by the body of work that she leaves, not just in this body, but in her time in the State House. And when she served at the county as a director under Mayor Ohana. And I think we'll all remember her service as both Ways and Means Chair. She was Chair of the Consumer Protection Committee. So she had earned the trust of the people that she served with throughout her entire tenure here. You know, the filing deadline, Roz, is not till so things may happen. I know it won't, but I think I speak for everybody, at least in my community, and we really wish you a warm mahalo. I know when I first came into the Senate, I spoke to the former Lieutenant Governor and our former colleague from Hana, and I asked them for advice, and they said, well, Gil, you're married to a Texas girl. Start from there. And I kind of stumbled a few times, but I'm glad that you were always there to provide me the kind of counsel that my wife does. And for that, I think that that's probably one of the best lessons that I had in serving with you, because you were someone that I could trust. Your word was good, and I knew that when you worked on something, that you did your homework. So if I got up to speak against one of your bills, I knew that it was coming back to me. And I think a lot of us have learned that. So Roz, thank you for your time and your service for Maui County. And I'm sure that whatever you do in the next couple of years, that you please enjoy it and say hello to your sister.
Senator Decoy.
Thank you, Senate President. First of all, I want to insert the words of the prior speaker as if they were my own into the journal, but if I can, sir, thank you. I would like Senator Baker to come to the front so that the people can see you. Of course, Senator Agaran knew that this was going to happen, that I would have a hard time speaking after he just basically said everything that has been said about you. So I'd like to start with, thank you for your service, Senator Baker. You represented us well when you were our representative on Molokai many years ago, and agriculture was at the top of your chain. As my dad would always say, how's that feisty lady doing in the Senate? And I would always tell him, she's still kicking butt. But I can tell you, Senator Baker, from the time that I've met you, you've always been there, you've always been responsive, and you've always addressed our communities like you did just with Kalaupapa. I don't know how you've done it, because I can remember the days when I'd be sitting there and I'd be saying, how does she end up reading everything? So I can appreciate the notes, as well as many of our colleagues here in this building today. But I can tell you from many of your constituents that you've served on Molokai, Lanai, East Maui, and now all of upcountry Maui, they have been very grateful to you and everything that you have done. And I want to say this because when you first came back, and we were at a gala in Maui, and my husband leaned over and my husband said, thank you for supporting my wife. And the response that came back, which earned me a few extra points, was, she's a diamond in the rough. So every time I get to go home, I get to remind him that the diamond in the rough came on behalf of you, and it meant the world to me. And I wish you well. And of course, as the other night that we had our dinner and we wanted to spend some time with you, we will be spending that time with you, also with your sister, and making our trip to come and visit. But what more can I say? But from the bottom of my heart, and on behalf of my family and all of the people that you have represented well, mahalo, 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 Roz. Thank you.
Senator Keith Agaran.
Yes, Mr. President, if Senator DeCoit and I could please approach Senator Baker and present her with a few things.
I'm going to say yes, this is interesting. Senator Misalucha and Keoho Kalole felt comfortable in approaching Senator Nishihara without permission. This must be marrying a Texas woman and the rules thing. So for those of you who couldn't hear Senator Keith Agaran in presenting the certificate, said it's signed by 24 members because we didn't let her sign her own certificate. Do you have any further comment? Senator San Buenaventura?
Thank you, Mr. President. I first came to realize the power of Senator Baker even before I became a legislator. When I was an attorney working for the middle class, working for the working poor, I realized one of her many bills, which was the payday loans bill, tried to help those who are being victimized by these 425% interest rate. It was her dogged determination that we finally passed it last year. But I remember when I first got in on opening day, when the governor was being sworn in, and I approached her, and I know she didn't know who I was, but I asked her, are you going to reintroduce that bill? And at that time, she was saying there's a lot of naysayers, I don't know. So I am so thankful that she has this dogged determination to see it through, and that we finally were able to pass it for her. And I also want to point out that she, as being a women's legislative caucus leader, has been a champion of women's rights and has been an outspoken champion when the rest of us are usually quiet. So I thank her for that. And if you notice that the women in the room are wearing rose red in honor of her And so for all those reasons, I am going to be sorry to see her go, even though I'm just a freshman senator, because you have touched a lot of us. Thank you.
Any further comments? Senator Baker, I've known you since my years serving at the county level, but most of our bills in those days didn't get to the committees you were on. And when I first got here, I was not in, or didn't serve on your committee. So it's after I became president, I had a chance to work even closer with you. But when I did have issues in your purview and people from Kauai visit, you always were gracious with your time to meet with my constituents to make sure that their time was well spent talking to somebody who actually knew what they were talking about and not their senator who was not on the committee. And Senator San Buenaventura, I was walking by my television in the office one morning of conference week, and I did see the exchange between Senator Baker and an unnamed representative from Maui when the bill wasn't going to pass. And so I got to witness firsthand the passion that she brought in her advocacy for protecting the working people of Hawaii, and her advocacy in the cancer space as a cancer survivor and the causes that she has fought for. It's been an honor and privilege for me, Senator Baker, to have been able to partner with you and work together with you on things that you have been passionate about, and wish you well in your future endeavors. Senator Baker.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, this is amazing. I didn't prepare anything because I didn't expect to be having the honor of responding. But I've had the privilege and the pleasure of serving in the legislature, my community and our state, for 30 years. And I told somebody, I think that's long enough. But maybe I'm having second thoughts. The thing I won't miss, and I think the neighbor island legislators all will agree with me, is getting up either early on a Monday or in the middle of the afternoon on a Sunday, hopping on a plane, coming over here, getting a car at the airport, going to a hotel and staying there and trying to remember, did you bring everything you needed at that to stay the week? Sometimes the answer was yes, and sometimes it wasn't. But so I'm not going to miss that, but I will definitely miss all of you and the good work that we've all done together to solve the problems that we confront, whether we have to go and beg from the Ways and Means chair for a little bit extra for something going on in our district, or whether it's working on the bills that are going to enable things to happen. And it's been my honor and privilege to serve with each and every one of you. And I'm going to miss you all terribly. But I know that the state is in excellent hands because of all of the good work that's going to be done in this body. And although I don't know who my successor is going to be, you can be certain that if that successor deviates from what I think he or she ought to be doing, then I can pick up the phone or send them a text and make that point. But thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this wonderful body of serving on a number of committees. I served as chair of Ways and Means, and I was really happy to give that committee up. It's a lot of work, and you can't make anybody happy. So my hat is off to Senator Dela Cruz for the good work that he and the committee and the vice chair, Senator Kidani, have done to try to make all of us and our constituents a little bit happier with some of the projects that are going to come to our district. Senate President, you have been an amazing leader. I am so honored to have served with you beside you to try to take care of some of the issues in our state. And I have to say that with your leadership and the team that you've assembled, our staff, our clerk, our assistant clerk, the sergeant at arms, all of the folks in SMA, every place else, we have a wonderful team here. And it's, I think all of our communities can be proud of that. But Mr. President, your leadership has been invaluable to me, to all of us, and I thank you for that.
Thank you.
I will miss all of you. If there's ever anything I can do, if you ever need anything from Maui, just let me know. Majority Leader, you run a great caucus. Thank you so much. Everything is right there. We know what's coming up. We appreciate that. Senator Favela, you were one of the most reliable members of my committee, and I thank you so much for being there, for even when we had to do it on Zoom, you joined us via Zoom, and you really made a difference, and I appreciate your attention, your caring, and you're willing to work with all of us. I could say that about just everybody in this room. Senator Chang, I hope when you get to Vienna, you'll have a chance to see all of the wonderful sites there. If I have the opportunity, I'd love to go visit my sister while you're there and enjoy that as well. But to everyone in this body, you all are amazing and you make such wonderful contributions. You know, I've been around as long as Senator Nishihara and Senator almost as long as Senator Taniguchi. He's got a few more years on me. But we've seen such progress being made and such care and concern for every aspect of Hawaii is represented in this room. So thank you for allowing me to serve with you, to become friends with you, to have celebrated the good, the bad, and the ugly that sometimes happens. And I will miss you all. And I hope I'll see some of you on Maui one of these days. You all have my cell number. I take text and email. So please come join and continue to have a wonderful end of our session and the beginning of the next. Aloha.
Senator Ihara.
Mr. President, on behalf of the Senate, Senator Kim and I would like to present a special certificate to our senior legislative colleague, the Honorable Brian T. Taniguchi, who is retiring at the end of this term. Mr. President, when I entered the legislature 36 years ago, I met Representative Brian Taniguchi, who was already elected 3 times by voters in Manoa, Mo'iliili, Makali, and the first time in 1980, 42 years ago. Back then, I thought Brian was a radical activist because as a university senator, he had helped establish the Ethics Studies program as a degree program, and it seemed radical back then. Besides a colleague, I knew Brian as an attorney, legal counsel, government relations advisor, and other roles in the private sector, but both Representative Taniguchi and Senator Taniguchi have strongly advocated in support of his community. Over his career, Senator Taniguchi's communities have included Manoa, Mo'iliili, Makiki, Punchbowl, and Papakolea. From his seats in both House and Senate, the Honorable Brian Taniguchi, it's his formal protocol name, initiated significant school, library, and community improvements, including a football stadium, a gymnasium, music facility, science and technology building, a library, to name a few. In the House, Representative Taniguchi served as Majority Leader in the 1991 and 1992 legislative sessions, while I chaired the Intergovernmental and International Affairs Committee. The following term, he kind of switched it a bit, and Brian chaired the committee, and I became Majority Floor Leader. While I served in leadership positions, Senator Taniguchi chaired the committees that had a strong partnership relationship with leadership: the Ways and Means Committee, the Commerce and Consumer Affairs Committee, and Judiciary Committees. He also chaired the committees on higher education, labor, and culture and the arts. Mr. President, while we've served on few committees together, Senator Taniguchi and I have come from neighboring communities: Manoa Valley and myself, Palolo Valley. We both served on our respective neighborhood boards before entering office. We've allied on a super power line proposal up the ridge between Manoa and Palolo Valleys. And we partnered on dredging, flood control, and restoration projects in the Alawai watershed. Before I give a critique of his character, I'd like to mention two legislative projects that Senator Taniguchi has spearheaded. In 1997, he founded the Hiroshima Hawai'i Sister State Committee that connected his Roosevelt High School alma mater with a Hiroshima high school. And in 2006, Senator Taniguchi established in Hawaii Vice statutes the Hawaii Sister State Program to promote Hawaii international, social, and economic relationships, which until then was only a departmental initiative. In 2008, Senator Taniguchi initiated the Art at the Capitol program to enable the public once a year to view hundreds of artwork in Capitol offices. Like many of his projects, Art at the Capitol was a response to a constituent inquiry about wanting to see the beautiful art in these legislators' offices. Rumor has it that during his UH Senate days, Senator days, Brian Taniguchi learned about working with others to get things done and began to focus on being always supportive of the community as a whole. But legend has it that a quote from his father found its way into the Taniguchi family dining room workspace, written on a Post-it note, legend has it, that stayed on the wall for the duration. His father's quote was, "Do one good thing every day." And I see Brian has heeded that call, the call of his father to do one good thing every day. We'll probably meet in Senate session again before Brian officially retires on Election Day, but we believe it's fitting to acknowledge the legacy of his committed public service performed by an advocate for the community and for all people being treated with dignity, respect, and fairness. Brian, my friend and colleague, this chamber will miss your presence. We wish you the best and return you full-time to your family. Life partner Janice, daughter Carly, son Danny, and grandchildren Royson, Lucy, Hunter, and Leah. Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Taniguchi.
Senator Kim.
Mr. President, thank you. Mr. President, it's always difficult to say aloha to a colleague. In fact, you know what, Brian? I don't think you should be spared. You need to go up in front like everybody else. As I was saying, it's difficult to say aloha to a colleague, a friend, and someone who's served alongside of you for so many years. I was elected to the House of Representatives in 1982, and when I got there, Representative Taniguchi had already been there for 2 years. I served with him until I left the House in 1985 for the City Council, and he finally left the House for the Senate in 1994. Of course, in 2000, I got elected to the Senate, and while I hate dating myself, only Les Ihara Jr., Lorraine Inoue, and myself, and Senator Taniguchi from the 2001 legislative session remain in this legislative body today. Now, Taniguchi, as he's often called, is retiring after devoting more than half his life, 42 years, to faithfully and effectively serve his constituents and the people of Hawai'i. It seems like Brian had public service flowing in his veins virtually from small kid time. He was elected as a senator to the Associated Students of the University of Hawaii, where he helped lead the creation of ethnic studies as a degree program. He interned for Governor John Burns and was a law clerk for Judge Hiroshi Kato. As a member of the House of Representatives beginning in 1980 and then to the Senate in 1994, he and Senator Ihara thus remained the longest continuously serving members of the Senate. No small feat considering the turnover we've seen in the legislature and local politics. His longevity is a testament to the respect and support he has commanded from his constituents for more than 4 decades, and a reflection of the leadership and commitment he has demonstrated in representing his district. Brian's leadership and numerous committees, not to mention his civic contributions, form a legacy that is long and distinguished. His influence can be seen in legislation involving labor, public and higher education, government finances, transportation, consumer protection and commerce, and cultural and the arts. Furthermore, he's been instrumental in securing projects benefiting his district, including a football stadium, new gymnasium with locker rooms, new music facility at Roosevelt High School, the Science and Technology Building at Stevenson Middle School, the IDEA Center and covered play court at Noelani Elementary School, Manoa Valley Gym, and Manoa Library, and more recently, he shepherded the minimum wage. Which one do you want to be named after, Brian? His work in the Senate has always been marked by insightful and quiet, forward-thinking proposals, while he's been able to point out the broader implications of our legislative decisions. We are fortunate to have benefited by his wisdom and counsel. Besides his public service, Brian has enjoyed an equally illustrious career in the legal profession. This alumnus of the UH Richardson's School of Law has been an attorney in private practice and legal counsel for financial institutions. Whatever his endeavors, public or private sector, Brian has never strayed from his commitment as a focused, devoted advocate for the greater good, for his insistence that all people be treated with dignity, respect, and fairness. Now that he's leaving his legislative duties, we wish Brian and his wife Janice and his family many more happy, fulfilling years together in the company of their children and grandchildren. Retirement means you get to do all the things you couldn't do because of work. So enjoy your time and do whatever you like. Aloha, Brian. We will miss you, but not as much as you'll miss us.
Senator Ihara.
Mr. President, may Senator Kim and I present a certificate to Hawaii's longest-serving senior legislator.
Please proceed. Do we have any further comments, Senator Wakai?
Thank you, Mr. President. I call him Sensei. It's a play on words. Senator Taniguchi being my mentor and teacher. When he was first elected in 1980, I was watching Kikaida. I had no interest in politics whatsoever, but lo and behold, 42 years later, I get the honor of serving with this Japanese superhero. He is quite the action figure till today. We've had numerous opportunities to travel to Japan. I watched him bridge relations between Hawaii, Japan, Philippines, India, and points beyond our shores. He is truly a global bridge builder. Next week, in fact, he's going to sign a sister school relationship between Noelani Elementary School and a school in Sakaimachi, Japan. I also admire his work on keeping arts and culture thriving in this state. He created the 1% for the arts and protects that pot of money to ensure arts continues to define who we are in the state. Sensei, I have deep admiration for all that you have done for the people of this state. Enjoy your retirement and thank you for molding Hawaii into the special place it is today and into the future. Ganbatte.
Further comments? Otherwise, I'd say, unlike Senator Kim, who met in November after the election, I came to work in the state capitol in January of 1982 for Kauai Representative Dennis Yamada, and my work in the policy room, which was part of the majority leader's office, would bring Senator Taniguchi to check in with the attorneys as a young House member, and that's where I really first got to know him, and we both found out that we had a passion for baseball card collecting. And we would have many conversations about what particular cards we had or what the treasured memory was associated with baseball cards, and it even made its way into a Kauai Times news story they did on me when I talked about I'm not the only legislator with this passion. I know Representative Taniguchi at the time in the State House was passionate about this. And I have, through the years, come to lobby Senator Taniguchi in assignments that he has had. The county had bills there. And when I got to the Senate and became president, one of the first request I had was to have Senator Taniguchi be part of my leadership team. I valued the experience that he had in the legislature, and certainly his intellect and his strategic thinking. And ever since I've been president, he's been on the leadership team, and his counsel has been invaluable in helping me navigate the waters here at the State Senate. And so I am certainly going to miss, working with him, miss hearing his counsel. But other than talking about minimum wage and Senate strategies, Senator Taniguchi and I really haven't had much to talk about lately. All he wants to talk about is grandchildren and how great that is, and I have nothing to say back to him. I will truly. Oh yeah, my two sons are still there, they heard that. So to you, Senator Taniguchi, thank you so much for all of your service. Thank you for your friendship over the past 40 years. I truly value that. And I, like Senator Wakai, really would like to echo the contributions you've made in the area of the arts and your advocacy for the archives, your advocacy for Iolani Palace and Bishop Estate, and the support you had from the Ways and Means Chair and Vice Chair. Those appropriations are going to be enjoyed by future generations of this state, and thank you for making sure that they will be able to enjoy that. The floor is yours, Senator Taniguchi.
Thank you, everybody. I guess, like Roz, I wasn't planning to say anything because I wasn't sure what was going to really happen. So I was planning to make a motion to adjourn CND.
Out of order.
But I did want to acknowledge people who have come to visit in the gallery. I've had a lot of good staff people over the years, and very appreciative of all the work that they've done on my behalf, because I couldn't have done it without their hard work. I have a campaign committee members up there who, most of them, at least 35 plus years, have been with me campaigning. Every time I have to go out and sign wave. I enjoy it just as much as Senator Nishihara. And I also have my family. My son, my daughter, my son-in-law, my daughter-in-law, my grandson, Bryson. They've had to put up with me a lot. I'm not there a lot of times. luckily, when my son was playing baseball, I was the Ways and Means chair, so I would set my hearing so that I could go to his games. So I got to do that. But I guess the person I really wanted to thank and acknowledge was my wife, Jan. She's the one who went to the, I guess was to UH admissions or something, and she picked up the application for the law school admission test. And she said, "Why don't you fill this out?" You know. And then she also went to the law school and picked up the application form for the Richardson School of Law. And so she's, been the one, along with all my campaigns, who's, taking leadership, who's directed a lot of the things that we do. And so very thankful to her for all the things she's done for me. And I blame her for all the things that have become. But yeah, she's been the one that really has been behind me, and I appreciate that. All of my colleagues here, also my compatriots in the House. It's been real enjoyable for me, especially this year. Got a lot of stuff done. Finally, I know all of you have contributed to my ability to get things done, and I appreciate it very much. I was very scared when you called on Senator Kim to make remarks for me, but she's going to be she and Senator Hara are going to be the old timers now, and I'm sure you're going to seek their counsel, Senate President, in the future. I'm leaving with a lot of mixed feelings and emotions. I'm going to miss the work. I miss working with all of you. I do have that. I will miss that very much. And exchanging ideas, working with constituents, trying to resolve problems for our state. That's been important to me. So anyway, I'm going to miss that. So I appreciate that. Also want to acknowledge the Senate President. He's always been good to me. He's backed me up all the way on a lot of things that I didn't think he would. But he's been there solid for me all the way, and I appreciate that very much. But anyway, just wanted to say thank you to all of you, and I'll try to keep it really short, so I'll cut it off here. Thank you.
Thank you. For our guests in the gallery, we've come to the end of our agenda. Traditionally, the House and Senate check on each other and see where we're at in finishing, and when we can, we jointly sing Hawai'i Aloha. So we are going to recess now, as it appears we may be ahead of the House, and see if the House would like to recess to sing Hawai'i Aloha. And if we do that, upon its conclusion, we will come back. We will take one more motion to adjourn, and that will be it. So if you're here watching the session, you can feel free to leave. For those of you who are here for one of the members, if you patiently wait till we get back, then there'll be an opportunity to have some photographs taken when we return. So we'll walk over there quickly and see where the House is at, and then we will return to adjourn. Any objections? Hearing none, recess. Will the Senate please come back to order, Madam Clerk?
Mr. President, we're under announcements.
Do we have any announcements today? Senator Favela.
Thank you, Senate President. I apologize, colleagues. I lost my place. I just wanted to close today, not only acknowledging the sacrifice that my wife, Donnelly, and my daughter, Abigail, allowing me to be here and serve our great community of Ever Beach. I just want to thank Senate President, first of all, of his leadership, Vice President Senator Kadani, Senator De La Cruz, while he's in me, Chair and Vice Chair, Senator Keith Agaran. Having this first time being here, and I said that I was going to be able to work across the aisles and come here with the feeling and the love of aloha, not knowing that we was going to be saying aloha to 3 of our colleagues today. I already said as much as I could say for Honorable Senator Nishihara. I want to say something about Senator Baker. When I first came here, her teaching me in the most gentle way as she could, telling me, what's the question? What's the question? Oh, I had to learn quick when I showed up in Senator Baker's class. I'm sorry. Committee. I love her, Senator Baker, because you never only was patient with me, taught me, and allowed me to be me in your committees. And I know I was new, Stu was learning, but scoldings is good because we learn, right? We learn. And I learned quickly in Senator Baker's committees. One of the most memorable moments for me, going through Zoom to try to be here for all of my colleagues in every single committee and every single conference, was the opportunity on one special occasion, not one day, but 2 days, because I have it on recording because it was on Zoomland. But Senator Baker said that I was her favorite Republican senator. And I tell you, my heart was so big, so bright. I even went and go back and turn on my chair and he said, you guys recording this? You guys recording this? Because it meant a lot to me that my colleagues here, all of you, going forward, that we had worked together in reaching across the aisles with love and aloha. In coming to Senator Taniguchi, first reached out, his staff, love you guys all. When my wife and I came to the Senate, his office was one of the first, and Sergeant of Arms too, reached out to my office and really talked story with my wife, made her feel welcome. And then when it's coming around Christmas time, somehow, somewhere, I became the volunteer of being Santa Claus. I don't know how it happened, but that conversation came. My wife was part of their Christmas, singing committee, whatever. So I played Santa Claus. But that's where I met a lot of Senator Taniguchi's staff. But also, I thank him for hiring one of the best representatives that Ever Beach ever had, and that's Paul Oshiro. I want to thank you for that. Paul Oshiro, you there? Ever Beach, baby. But what I learned the most of him is compromising and willing to get something done. And what I was so proud to stand next to him with this minimum wage bill, no matter what the opposition was, no matter what people were saying about us in the paper, I stayed fast because my community needed this minimum wage increase. Sitting with him, talking to him, and he knows I didn't want to give in, but he said, we need to do this for the people of Hawaii. And I agree. And I thank you for your leadership. Thank all of you for your leadership. Thank you all, my colleagues, for your leadership. But most of all, Senator Taniguchi, 4 more years. 4 more years. Love you all. God bless and aloha.
Thank you. Any further announcements? If not, Senator DeCoit.
I move that the Senate of the 31st Legislature, regular session of 2022, adjourn sine die.
Senator Favela.
I second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. If there are no objections from the members, the Senate of the 31st Legislature, regular session 2022, adjourned sine die. Members,